While the idea of the Dollars Trilogy is more spiritual than intentional, with the concept of the films having any correlation being a marketing technique used by the United Artists, it's still recognized as a trilogy today, with the protagonist being known as the man with no name. It is also easy to argue that it's a definitive spaghetti western film trilogy, with the three movies exhibiting the vast majority of tropes and cliches spaghetti westerns are known for. This essay will be discussing and dissecting those characteristics. So, without further ado, let's start with the basics. Archetypes. Gunslingers are one of the most well-known archetypes in spaghetti westerns. These men, with lightning-fast reflexes and absurd marksmanship, became cinematic legends, with most being shrouded in mystery, illustrated beautifully by the entirety of Sergio Leone's Dollars Trilogy. These lone cowboys were the type of hero that allowed spaghetti westerns to be box office and pop culture juggernauts through the 60s, combined with the absurdly small budgets, of course. In the modern day, the gunslinger archetype is used in The Mandalorian to showcase the idea that that series is indeed a western. A look at The Mandalorian shows how interconnected the gunslinger is to westerns as a whole. The other main archetype of spaghetti westerns is not shrouded in mystery, but rather explicitly specific. A Confederate Civil War veteran turned bounty hunter after their first death of losing the war. Two roguish bounty hunters are in this trilogy, Angel Eyes and Douglas Mortimer, oddly both portrayed by Lee Van Cleef. However, Mortimer is a Civil War veteran, so we'll focus on him. He spends for a few dollars more attempting to regain honor from the rapscallion and Dio. Much like his fellow soldiers turned paid for hires, like Frank from Once Upon a Time in the West, he is searching for a new purpose as he wanders from town to town, collecting cash for lives. Like the gunslinger, the soldier turned bounty hunter is such a staple of spaghetti westerns it's used to represent the genre in other mediums. Spike Spiegel, one of the protagonists from the anime Cowboy Bebop, falls under this archetype, and intentionally too.
I was killed once before, by a woman.
He is the pin that connects that genre mishmash to westerns. And even though the protagonists in these films have the tendency to kill a lot, in most of these films the separating factor between hero and villain is the code of honor. A man with no name is shown time and time again to be filled with honor, such as leaving his enemies alive if they're with no firearms, or simply stripping a cheating sheriff of his duties.
You people need a new sheriff.
Lastly, despite the music being related for most viewers on a subconscious level, it would be a crime to not talk about the iconic compositional designs of spaghetti westerns. The scores tend to jump between notes and octaves, often going up from 3 to 7 notes at a time, and the Dollars Trilogy is no exception. With the juxtaposition of notes being the musical composition for scenes featuring Leone's signature contrasting of shots, going from close-ups to mediums, then cutting back into close-ups, makes this a piece of spaghetti westerns that would be more accurately thought of as being part of Leone's directing style instead of the genre as a whole. The very specific patterns in spaghetti western musical composition makes for an easy tool for audiences to recognize when films are paying tribute to them.